So, star date update. I've got it all back together. I've got the clutch mass slave cylinder on, and I'm not sure if I've got air in the cylinder or the stroke of it isn't long enough. Wow. Because it does release, but right down on the floor. But I noticed at the end of the clutch fork there's a hole to put a spring, and I'm just wondering whether the clutch is pushing it back too far. But first of all, I'm going to bleed it through, and I've had a hell of a job, because this is different to a TDI where the nipple things at the bleed nipples at the top on a TDI, but on this it's on the side, and I'm not sure if I'm getting air in it. So to eliminate that, I've got some hose and I've hooked it up to the bleed screw all the way across. We're going to do it the old-fashioned way in a jam jar full of brake fluid. Now, pay attention. I do not do this on customers' cars without the wing tops on. Alright, this is my truck, I don't care. Right, glad we settled that too. So by doing this, I can see the air. Now when it stops bubbling, like that, gosh, this is the problem with these systems. You can only get like 3 pumps and it's empty. So let's start again. You'll see air come out of here because I took in air while I'm talking to you guys. So, 1, 2, 3 pumps and a top up. You can see the dirt coming out. One, 2, 3 in the top up. We haven't got the air out yet, you'll see in a minute. You can see the dirty fluid coming through. There's the air, look. That's the air we took in. There is no air in that system. So, I'm going to tighten everything up, top up the cylinder and see what the clutch is like now. So, I can't pull the fork back. So that means the piston is in contact with a rod, which is in contact with the fork, and there's no loose play. So I'm assuming that the ratios for the cylinder are wrong. The Isuzu one, was that like that was larger. So what I want is something a bit smaller. So I had an idea. The TDI one was a bit small, but it had a longer stroke. Now, the bore was knackered on it. What if I got my good old friend JP to put a sleeve in that bore, bore it out, well, not even put a sleeve in it, just bore it out and make a new piston with a seal on it, and even a hydraulic seal from a proper jack, and then we could compromise halfway between the two. I think that might be the way to go. But what I'm going to do now is start the old beast up and see what it's like to get into gear. The reverse is the most important thing, and first. After that it's not too bad, but it was right down on the floor. Even if I can get an inch or so, like inch and a half off the floor before it engages, I'll be happy with that. Because I've got now a longer stroke, whereas before I had a shorter stroke on the pedal but a longer stroke on the cylinder. It's so complicated, isn't it? Also, little note, you probably can't see here, but I've got my pressure tester on the system, and I found out it wasn't an oil leak, it was a coolant leak, just a tiny one on top of that manifold. I thought it was oil, so it just goes to show. So I took it to bits, I stripped it down, I annealed the copper wash and put it back on, and so far so good, it's holding pressure. In fact, the whole system's holding pressure, so that's good, because these hoses now are absolutely rock hard. Let's start this up. it's a funny feeling. It's like it's a funny feeling. Oh yeah, I'm still on. It's a funny feeling that the pedal seems to have nothing, and then all of a sudden it's hard, like 3/4 of the way down. There's a bit of loose, but I know that I can't adjust the pedal anymore. Now it's tempting to adjust the pedal, so there's something somewhere. There's no air in it, but I think the volume of fluid going to push that bigger bore is too much before it actually engages the clutch. Now it wouldn't make a difference if we put a longer rod on, or would it? Oh, I wonder if it would. I don't know. Maybe an adjustable rod and push that cylinder further back. But then again, that doesn't make any sense, does it? Lots of thoughts, but I think the idea of boring the cylinder out might be just a good idea. But let's wait and see. I'll tell you what, it's Sunday. I'll go down on Monday and I'll go and see JP and see what he says, because he's a hydraulic man and he knows about these things. Don't go away yet. Update. It's horrible. I took it for a drive up the road and it's really bad to drive. The clutch is so far down on the floor. So, what am I going to do? I have a brand new 300 TDI Slave, like the original one but not leaking, on the shelf. I'm going to put this on. I'm not going to film it, but I'm going to push it up, put it on, bleed it through, because it really is easy to, you know, replace and stuff like that. It's not the end of the world. But I think the old cylinder was a good idea. We'll just bore it out just a bit and make a new piston for it, halfway between this one and that one. I think we can get it right. But I've been driving it around. I've been driving it around for 3 or 4 years with it, like with this on. But I think part of my problems was the I realised now that maybe this was leaking for a while and I couldn't see it, because you'll have had this same experience, that your level on your master cylinder goes down but you can't see any leaks, but it's here and it's leaking inside in. It just leaks a little bit but it evaporates off. That's the problem, you can't see it. And of course when it's in a 200 TDI or 300 TDI, it's inside of a bell housing. Now this is on the outside, so it's getting air circulated around it all the time, so it's getting blown away. Let me fit this and I'll come back and see what it's like, but first of all I need something to eat. So, a very, very interesting experiment was that. I put the 300 TDI clutch cylinder in, pedal is right at the top. It's hard, but it works. Now, there's the cylinders, look. This is the Isuzu one, and this is the Land Rover one. You wouldn't think there was any difference, but it makes a tremendous difference. So I think I'm going to see if my machine shop man can bore this one out, the old one, make it halfway between the two, and then we'll have a nice compromise. But the other one was like impossible to drive. Now, I'm not too bothered about a big, you know, a clutch pedal's too difficult to press down, and I'm no wimp. I don't want servo boosters and things like this on. But I tell you something, it doesn't have to stop people wanting to borrow my truck. I said to them, yeah, can I borrow your pickup, mate? Can I borrow your pickup? I said, yeah. Just have a drive down the road first, get used to it. They go, oh, God, oh, the clutch. You need 2 feet on the clutch. Anyway, next thing, I'm going to take it round and power wash off all the spilt brake fluid. I'm going to tie up a few wires and cables that's dragging down. I don't know where they've gone. I don't know what's happened to them. And maybe tomorrow when the shops are, well, some of the shops are open, I'll get some sandblasting. I might just sandblast and take off the loose, flaky finish underneath and re-wax it, because it's looking bad. It really is. It's bad. I mean, it looks bad on the top, but why? It's already had outriggers on this, and I don't want to put another set on. Yeah. Sometimes, you know, leaving things, you take it for a little drive out in winter, and then you come back and you leave it for 6 months, and now that salt's just eating away. It gets under the wax. So if I can get the blaster out and do that, it's going to be alright. So that's another job for another day, maybe tomorrow. But let's get all this brake fluid off my truck, because it's going to come out even worse. Alright, I hope you liked that. That was a little bit about hydraulics and clutches and different things. A little bit, something a little bit different than your run-of-the-mill Land Rover repairs, but we've made it better-ish.